Welcome to the first episode of No Sugar All Spices. This is the place where I sit down and just speak to you guys about my personal experiences, leaving out all the fake stuff. We're going to get down to the real stuff. No sugar coating, and hopefully you can relate to it and grow with me from my story. Technically this is supposed to be my second episode. I've been wanting to do this for so long, for years now. I would say like at least 2-3 years. It's just something that I want to do this. Life happens. I don't know how to balance my day-to-day, my day-to-day workload, and then I just kind of like pushed it away. But then it's something that just keeps coming back. Like, I want to do this. I want to do a podcast. But then again, I just don't have time for it. And I have all these excuses. But reality is, if I really wanted to do it, I shouldn't have excuses, right? Just this past month, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do it for real. Let me get my stuff ready. Let me get everything ready for this. And then I shot my first episode like a few days ago. I'm a firm believer that it doesn't have to be January 1st to start something, right? I can just start it right now. And y'all, I folded. I was struggling so hard. It took me so long to just get things together. I have some notes that I was looking at. I had a laptop here that I was looking at and I was scrolling. I took so long, and then I was just like, what am I saying? I'm like, what? Why am I doing this? Who's gonna listen to me? What makes me think somebody's gonna want to listen to this, right? And like I said, I have the notes, I have the prompts, I have the topics of discussions and the timeline of what I want to speak about. But I didn't feel it. I felt uncomfortable, super uncomfortable. I'm like, why am I talking about this? Who cares? So I'm like, we're gonna wipe everything out. I don't like any of that. I want to redo for all of it. And I spent like hours just trying to get that first episode recorded. After that first one, and I'm like, yeah, I'm wiping everything out. I just kind of, took a few days to think about how I want to go about this, what I want to do, how I want to say it, what I want to say. It's so important for me to just kind of be my authentic self and speaking from my heart rather than, having the notes and some prompts to kind of help me through it. So I was just like, yeah, let me just speak from my heart. Let it just come out from me naturally, right? Just be my authentic self and kind of speak through it. Because I feel like that one topic that I wanted to speak about, I couldn't even relate to it. So no personal touches, no nothing. And so I thought about what I want to talk about for this first episode now. Just kind of thinking about how I felt when I was recording that first episode. I thought about the uncomfortability of growth. Because I've been wanting to get this podcast going. This is something that I want to grow my platform for on my, my social media platform. I want to grow. I want to grow my platform, and this is a way of me doing it. Again, I feel so uncomfortable. And so then I'm just like, you know what? That could be like a very good topic and relatable and very fresh, right? Because I've literally just experienced, just being uncomfortable with initiating something that I want to grow from. Today, I just kind of want to speak about growth, and outgrowing people and the guilt and, shame that could come from that. And so I think just jumping straight into it, I think it is a common feeling that, most of us probably have at one point in our life, that you don't feel like you fit in anymore because you don't think the same way. You've grown beyond what at one point. It can be uncomfortable, and it could bring a feeling of remorse to really leave something that you've known for so long. And I think I've definitely personally experienced this, growing up. You meet different people in different phases of life, and sometimes they're just purposeful and useful for that phase. And then you grow from that, right? I do believe that we go through these phases to kind of, help us learn different life lessons and help us navigate life. But there comes times for some of us, not all of us, but some of us, where we find our paths, find our purpose, and then we outgrow, these individuals who we've known for years, for life, right? And I think I've experienced this when I was younger, hanging out with certain groups of people, and then they're kind of stuck in the same place, right? I've always been a go-getter. Like, I like doing things. I like exploring. I like finding new hobbies. I like staying active. I prioritize a healthy lifestyle and things of that nature. And so sometimes it's hard to hang with people whose priorities aren't the same as yours. And not saying that I'm better than them or they're better than me. It's just, our priorities are different. I've definitely felt some guilt for outgrowing some people. I feel like sometimes even like we outgrow even like mindsets, right? Some people, they will never want to change their mindset. They'll never want to hear you out or listen to you. It's just them and their opinions and their thoughts, and they're never going to hear you out. And it's just like, well, I don't think like that anymore. I'm sorry, but sometimes it comes to a point where I can't even hang with you because we just can't be on the same page. It can be applied to different aspects of life. It can be with school, it could be with sports, it could be with your spiritual journey, it could be with love life. really anything, right? Personally, I think that life is a race. This is a piece of advice, really, that I was given to when I was younger. And this is something that I also like to share to my, close family members, some of my nephews and my distance family who are in their teenage years. So recently, one of my nephews, he's in college, he's 19, he's pursuing a career to become a pilot. And he is seeing this one girl. I'm sorry for putting your business out there. I'm not going to say your name. He was just like really looking for advice from me. And he's just like, yeah, I like this girl. What should I do? And he's the kind of person who prioritizes, his health, obviously school. He's got his goals. He knows what he wants to do. He knows the kind of lifestyle that he wants to live. And he's, chasing that dream, chasing that vision that he's got for himself. This one girl that he's seeing, I think she's also on the same page. She's obviously pursuing her career. She's got her priorities straight. She's a hard worker. And so then I told him, I'm like, well, it sounds like both of you guys are, running this race, this life race, and you're going at your pace. You know what you want to do. You know all the stops you're going to make. And it sounds like she also knows what she wants to do and what she's, wanting out of life. And I feel like you both have your priorities straight. You both know what you want to do. That helps with, having that mutual understanding between the two of them. But this is not always the case, right? Because sometimes I know people where they're in a relationship and say one of them is a go-getter. One of them know what they want to do, know what they, have their stuff in place. But one maybe doesn't. And that could wear out the other person, right? And this can also be with like different kinds, like friendships, right? Like I talked about my feeling earlier, like even with people who just wouldn't change their mindset. It can be like people who you've known for your life, people who are your family members. It can be anyone. But I do think it's important to recognize in this race of life, to recognize who is cheering you on the sideline. And it's also important to note who is not, who is bringing you down. And I do want to emphasize on the fact that we're not always the fastest. Sometimes we're slow. Sometimes, our pace is slower. Because I think that we like to think that we're so fast and everybody else is behind, right? But that's not always the case. So I think it's important to recognize the two. And I like to use my sister as an example because we're just on a different path in life. She has a family. She's such a good mom, and she's just killing it at being a mom, right? And being a wife, really. She has a happy family, and that's and that's her goal in life. She's doing it, right? And I'm so happy for her. For me, like I want to travel the world. I want to have a good career. Those are my goal in life. And we both, my sister and I, we're both kind of on a different path. So we're not in competition or anything. Even if we were to be on the same path, I'm not competing with her. She's not competing with me. She's always so supportive. She's supportive of what I do. I know she would watch this podcast. She's always cheering me on, right? Regardless of what I'm doing, where I'm at. So she is a prime example of someone who is a support system. And I look at her, I've already mentioned like she's such a great mom, she's a great wife, and she's got a great family. And I look at her and I'm just like so happy for her, right? Like She's such a cool mom. She's got two beautiful kids. This kind of, brings into also the topic of comparison, right? That we're all running our own race and we're all at our own pace and our goals and dreams are not the same. And it's so important to kind of recognize that too, to not, compare yourselves with other people as you walk this journey. It's okay to feel shame. It's okay to feel guilt when you are outgrowing people in certain aspect of life. People are going to outgrow you too, and that's okay. But I just think it's important to note that, we're running this race of our own. We are writing our own stories. We are pacing ourselves out. When you feel like you've outgrown someone, it is okay to feel remorse. It's okay to feel some guilt, but it's also important to recognize that you have your support system. Sometimes even the people who are on the same path as you, they're your support system. Not everyone is an enemy, but not everyone is a friend either. It's taken me, I've always thought that people are just nice. Like they're nice people, but people are fake out here. People will smile in your face and they be some haters. They be some haters, right? So I just want to express and emphasize to know your team, to know who is on the same page as you, to know your support system, to know the ones who are trying to drag you down with them, to know the ones who are fake and the ones who aren't so fond of you. But I think it's so important to know who your support system is, who's in your support system. It's important to know that not everyone who is running the same race as you, who's on the same path as you, is not your enemy. But it's also important to note that not everyone is your friend. So recognize who is trying to drag you down with them, recognize who is trying to bring you up with them, and make sure you keep the right people around. It makes a huge difference to have the right people around. And this is something that I tell myself every day. Like every day. I know I have people out there watching me, right? Watching my downfall. And you're probably going through the same thing. It is so, so, so important to me that I walk every day of my life with grace. You just gotta show them some grace. They can't do nothing in return. All it does is build more anger because they realize they cannot hurt you or their word with the way they look at you, with what they say behind closed doors. If you are someone who, is experiencing these kinds of having people who aren't for you, that's okay. Just show them some grace, show them some love, and just keep shining, keep that light on. You know what Martin Luther King says, you cannot drive out darkness with darkness. Something like that, right? And I do want to add something really quick for my everyday walk. It's hard, but this is something that I try to do every day, is to walk with grace, is to show grace, even to people I know who aren't really for me, or people who are looking at me a certain way, or people who've said things behind my back. I know exactly who they are. I'm going to show up and keep showing them grace because that's what I do. And that's what you should do. Stay unbothered. Do your thing. There's nothing they can do when all you do is show them kindness. If anything, it just builds more anger, and that's their problem. And we're gonna walk with some light in our hearts, and that's how we keep our heads up high. Kill them with kindness and keep that spark going. Keep showing love to people. Stay unbothered. Do you keep growing and do good. Do the right things. That's it. And with that, I want to end it here. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stayed this long, just listening to me yapping, I hope you got something out of this episode. And even if you didn't, I just hope that you resonate with it in some way, shape, or form. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I cannot wait to see you in the next episode.